Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate, heading out to the Big Ten as Purdue heads on the road to play the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And don't look now, this Nebraska team, although it's not always pretty on Saturdays, they're finding a way and kind of finding their identity, right? Running the football a lot better, playing elite on the defensive side of the ball. And if you're a Nebraska fan, you look at this program, the youth and the young talent that's stepping up on defense and some of the young guys who are producing for Nebraska. Not only is it an exciting season for 2023, but the future for this Nebraska program, I think you got to be feeling pretty good about. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Nebraska fans. You guys have always shown just a ton of support to these game breakdowns. We obviously talk a lot of Cornhuskers football. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We do have a Nebraska defensive deep dive coming later this week. I got to get a little bit more games to film in. Really excited for that. Appreciate y'all supporting the boys. Again, if you do enjoy it, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment sections how you guys are feeling for this one. And without further ado, let's get into it. And I want to start with the Purdue offense going up against the Nebraska defense that has been just absolutely smothering the last couple of weeks. Now, Purdue on offense, Hudson Card, I think, is a really solid quarterback. I think the problem with Purdue is they don't quite have an identity of what they want to do, right? Not running the football extremely well, only 3.7 yards per carry, 86 in the country. Throwing the football, okay, they have some elite playmakers on the outside. Like, they have some guys who can break games, and Nebraska will have to be keyed in on those guys. But largely, it does seem like Purdue pretty reliant on the big play as opposed to consistently putting drives together. And I think that's been Purdue's problem on the offensive side of the ball. You look at this Nebraska defense, and it starts with stopping the run. Like, you look down, I mean, this is a team that is number 5 in the country stopping the run, only allowing 2.5 yards per carry. When you have guys on the defensive line like Nash Hutchmaker, Ty Robinson, Jamari Butler playing the way that they are, like, it is so hard for opposing offenses to run the football because these linebackers now are playing fast. They're playing downhill, and they're playing, most importantly, clean because Nash Hutchmaker, Ty Robinson absolutely eating up offensive linemen up front. And when you can stop the run as well as Nebraska's doing, what did you see in the Northwestern game? 3rd and longs, and a lot of them. And that's where Tony White really gets in his bag. You saw a lot of 5-man pressures, and these guys are just winning their one-on-one matchups. You take a look at that film again. I mean, Nash is a force rushing the passer. Prince Will You, a true freshman, he was phenomenal. And what speaks most highly to this Nebraska team is they had some guys, and I pride myself on knowing a decent amount about this Nebraska program. James Williams hadn't even been on my radar, and he was a guy that got a sack. This team is playing a lot of players, and Matt Rhule said in the press conference, we're confident in a lot of dudes, and you're seeing that confidence be shown on Saturdays with the amount of guys they're cycling in and out in that front 7. But Jamari Butler, Prince Will You, James Williams, Nash, Ty Robinson, so many guys that can get after the passer after winning on first down. And you can bring some heat because in the back end, this is a really good secondary that, gave up a few plays. But normally when you watch Nebraska film, like, it's not easy for wide receivers to create separation. And so when you combine stopping the run, and I got to shout out Isaac Gifford again because he's a dude that, when you talk about stopping the run, with that 3-3-5 defense, you have to have the guys in the back end be able to fire downhill and make tackles. Isaac Gifford probably playing the best football on this Nebraska defense. But you look at the recipe, right? Stopping the run, forcing teams to be in those 3rd and long situations, and then Tony White starts scheming these pressures. You trust your guys in the back end. I think that's the strength of this Nebraska defense. And I mean, that's a result of just a really, really good process for this Nebraska defense. Last Saturday against Northwestern, 8 sacks, 13 tackles for a loss. I mean, creating negative plays, creating havoc. The turnovers, they haven't come yet quite. They're going to start coming for this Nebraska team. Now, looking on the offensive side of the ball, Purdue, this is the biggest storyline, I think, is this is a Purdue team that struggles to stop the run, giving up 4.2 yards per carry. That's number 78th in the country. Although Ryan Walters wants to play man coverage. You guys remember back at Illinois with the smothering defense that he had. He wants to play man coverage. They're pretty good in terms of completion percentage, right? 54% completion percentage. That's top 15 in the country. That being said, where does Purdue struggle with? With all that man coverage, they give up some big plays, right? 7.6 yards per pass. That's 78th in the country. So can Nebraska, one, establish the run, force safeties to come into the box, and then try to hit some of those big plays off the play action, guys like Malachi Coleman getting deep. Nebraska on offense, it's no secret what they want to do. They want to run the football. 62% of their snaps are running the football. That is number 5 in the country. Pretty much only the military academies are running the football more than the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and that speaks to the identity. And Matt Rhule said this early, and I thought it was such a smart thing to say. He's like, we know what our identity is. We're not quite there yet in what we want to be, but we know who we are or who we want to be. And that's a team that's physical, runs the ball, 75-plus yards rushing in the fourth quarter. And you're seeing that it's getting there, right? Now, this Nebraska offense, it doesn't look pretty yet. And it's not on Coach Satterfield, I don't think, right? You take a look at the injuries. First 2 running backs injured, Gabe Irvin, Ramir Johnson. You look at the wide receiver room, Billy Kemp now with an MCLs. I have never seen the amount of injuries concentrated on one side of the ball like Nebraska's dealing with. Multiple guys, Turner Cochran, Ethan Piper, both out for the season. Billy Kemp's going to miss some time with an MCL sprain. Marcus Washington out for the season. IGC out for the season. The amount of injuries on this offensive side of the ball are brutal, and you're seeing Nebraska just kind of trying to find a way. And you know it's not always going to be pretty on offense when you're relying on true freshmen to play at wide receiver. It's tough. But Nebraska's figuring out ways to win, which last year they were figuring out ways to lose football games. I think that's what's most optimistic now. What I'm most excited for is, again, some of the youth really stepping up. Emmett Johnson, redshirt freshman, he has some serious juice running the football, right? And he sees his opportunity. Anthony Grant, really talented running back, having the ball security issues. Emmett Johnson getting some work. I think he's really taking advantage of it. You look at the wide receiver position. You need guys to step up because your starters went down. Malachi Coleman. And that route that Matt Rhule said was a Tom Osborne from the Tom Osborne playbook. That route, apparently what Matt Rhule was saying, wasn't even designed to go to Malachi Coleman. He was kind of running a clear-out route where I'm going to try to take safeties with me down the field and clear out that intermediate passing lane. He runs his heart out. He ends up getting open. Henrik Harburg throws a beautiful deep ball. Malachi Coleman catches it in the end zone. That's the stuff that you want to see, right? You're going to see a little bit more Jaden Doss. You're going to see a lot of youth on this Nebraska offense, and they're starting to make some plays. And I think that's really exciting. And up front, I mean, I know Piper going down, Turner Cochran going down. I still think this offensive line is coming together. Like, pass protection has not nearly been an issue that it was to start the season. I think partially it's because Nebraska's running the football much better than they were. So it's taking a little pressure off that offensive line and pass pro. My biggest question is, can Nebraska establish that run? Because that is what they want to do. I think they can against Purdue, right? Who's at 78th in the country in stopping the run. And when you do stop the run and you force Purdue to bring some safeties in the box, dedicate a little bit more bodies to stop this run, can you hit those big plays, right? And you don't need to hit the big plays consistently. With how good this Nebraska defense is, if you can find 1 or 2 plays like that Malachi Coleman play where you're hitting a 50-yard touchdown, that's going to be able to win games for Nebraska, because this defense you can rely on to be extremely stout. You want to see a little bit more rhythm from this offense, but again, on defense, Nebraska's going to keep them in the game. Now, getting to the pick, Nebraska 4.5-point favorites at home. You look at Purdue, there hasn't been a ton to love, right? 2-5, only 1 Big Ten win. I think Purdue's a solid team at home with the momentum and confidence this Nebraska team is getting. I'm going to take Nebraska to cover the number, and I cannot wait, one, to do the deep dive into this defense and really dig into why Nebraska has been so successful on defense. But 2, I can't wait to see some of these young guys ball out. I mean, Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, it's a really exciting time, and Matt Rhule said it best. Yeah, you want to win the football game, but you want to go see some of these guys go out and execute and make some plays, and that's what is most exciting for me. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.